Coming up in this edition of the 2018 FIFA World Cup magazine, we profile one of Russia's top clubs. We return to Samara on the banks of the Volga River. And we reminisce about the 1982 FIFA World Cup with Sergei Baltacha. In the history of the Russian top flight, one club is associated with success and stability above all others. But on the final day of last season, this stability came to an end. Dynamo Moscow were relegated for the very first time in their 93-year history, the only Russian team never to have done so before.
It was a tragedy for the fans and everyone connected to Dynamo Moscow. The tragedy continues.
It was painful, firstly for the players, staff and everyone at the club, but mainly for the fans. It was such a huge blow to us all. Personally, I still find it unbelievable that we got relegated.
Unfortunately, we were heading in this direction for the whole year. I was prepared for it. It wasn't a surprise for me when it actually happened. Despite this, I was devastated. When I think of Dynamo and our proud history, being relegated for the first time hit me in the heart. It will stay with me forever.
In 1936, Dynamo Moscow won the inaugural league title of the Soviet top flight, thus beginning a period of unrivaled success. Over the 40 years that followed, they won 11 league titles, making them one of the most storied clubs in Russia.
I first became involved in 1975 when I was 20 years old. And after my debut, I never looked back. I was picked from then on, playing every minute of the remaining games that season. That year we came third in the league. Then, in 1976, in my second season, we won it. You know, this year, it will be 40 years since we were last champions. Back then, Dynamo was such stable performers. Any less than fourth place would have been a big shock for us. We played at a very high level and seldomly lost, especially in the 1970s. But it was the 1980s when it all began to change. A lot of the veterans left, and that was it. We started to transform as a team, and things became much less certain.
I think most football fans become so by inheritance, from grandfather to father to son. Dynamo Moscow is a major part of my life. Firstly comes family, friends, relatives, and of course my son. Secondly is Dynamo Moscow and football. I haven't missed a single Dynamo match in 6 years. Unfortunately, our best years are behind us. The successes of the 30s, 40s, 50s and 60s. In the last 40 years, Dynamo have won fewer and fewer trophies. Despite this, we have a glorious past. Nobody forgets the club's historic trip to England in 1945. I have no doubts that we'll make an immediate return this year. I think the squad, the new coach, finances, and everything is in place to ensure this. I'm sure next season we'll be playing in the Premier League.
Over the summer, former player Yuri Khalid-Vintsev was appointed, and he'll lead Dynamo's charge in pursuit of an immediate return to the top flight.
Former glories can't be brought back, but they also will never be lost. Dynamo is a club with great history, and this great history will always remain. Our task is not to let down those people who achieved so much and attempt to return Dynamo to glory. My main ambition is to create a team of like-minded people who'll be prepared to achieve our goals at any price, sacrificing everything for the team. When joining Dynamo, I ask the lads to learn the history of the club so that they understand what the letter on their chest means. If you don't know the history, then you won't be seriously committed to the team.
In my 22 years at the club, I've never seen anything like it. The new coach is creating a team spirit and has united the players around himself. And as a team, we're moving ahead and only ahead.
The club's motto is power in motion, and after an unbeaten start to life in Russia's second tier, everyone involved at Dynamo is firmly moving in the right direction.
History and glory are the things that make my task an immediate one. Because a club like Dynamo Moscow, and I mean no disrespect to the rest of the league, on footballing terms, must be playing in the Premier League.
Power in motion? Well, everyone understands that in motion there must be power and victory. That's how I see it.
Power in motion is moving forward, and only forward. It's the fans who'll stimulate this progression, so we can win and win trophies.
Onwards, Dynamo.
I first had the idea for the museum when I was about 6 years old, when my dad, who was a doctor who treated the fans, took me to a match. It's not a cliche to say that football is more than just a sport in Samara. It's one of the most passionate things in the city.
Opened in 2007, the Samara Football Museum was, at the time, the first museum of its kind in the country. An important place to visit to fully appreciate the city's century-long love affair with the beautiful game. Many of the displays are dedicated to Krylia Sovietov, Samara's Premier League team. But there are plenty of mementos from other clubs in the region and players who've represented Russia at international level.
The museum is completely open and free to the public. We operate purely on donations. We receive help from all sorts of different places, including supporters and former players. We don't have regular guided tours because we all have jobs, but there is a number that people can call us on. So far, we haven't said no to any request for a tour of the museum.
A large percentage of the museum's exhibits have come from former players, many of whom can be seen attending a number of the events the museum hosts throughout the year.
When you first enter, you see all these pictures and the photographs on the wall. The memories come flooding back. Some are sad, some are funny. And you start to remember everything, especially if you come with some of your old teammates. Together you recollect the small details, the funny moments between you. You laugh and you're happy. You also remember those who aren't here anymore. It's both the past and the present. You can't get away from it.
All I can say is that for there to be a future, we need to embrace our history. We need to know what was in our past, what helped the team, what didn't, and who was there. Only then can we look to the future.
Thanks to football, some of the people you see on the museum walls, some of whom aren't alive anymore, experience a degree of idolization, admiration for their life's work. They can see that people come here to see and remember them. In the future, I think the number of fans who visit the museum will continue to grow. This is because they will be surprised at some of the items we have here. They will also realize that the museum is about them too. It reflects Samara's passion for football and the emotional bond the fans have with it. Of course, some things will amaze them and even surprise them, as we relate to football like you would to your first love. Everyone remembers it.
Across Russia, preparations at all 12 venues for the 2018 FIFA World Cup are well underway. A number of the stadia are already in use, while the rest are due for completion in 2017. Each stadium has been designed to reflect the culture of the relative host city and its region, giving them all a unique look. One of the most striking designs can be found in Samara. The city has a strong connection to Russia's space program, and the stadium's look reflects this relationship.
Initially, the stadium was called the Cosmos Arena because its shape resembles a dome, which, when we think about its curvature, makes us think about the planet and a variety of other things connected to space. It also relates directly to the hard work of the residents of the city, who've contributed to the development of the space industry here.
Installation work on the arena's dome began in March and is set to take up to a year to complete. One of the most challenging operations in the stadium's construction, the dome, is made up of 32 panels, each weighing 134 tons. While the steel structure for each panel weighs an additional 500 tons. To successfully complete the dome, each part needs to be lifted from where it is built and placed on the supports with accuracy down to the nearest centimetre.
The construction of the roof comprises a large percentage of all the building work that needs to be done. At the moment, half the metal has been delivered, but only 10% has been assembled. The assembly is rather complex, but it allows us to start work from the very foundation, which is good for us. It means that we have the opportunity to build a solid support structure for the dome.
When finished, the dome will stand 65.5 metres high, making it structurally one of the largest in the country.
Compared to the size of the venues being built in Kazan, Saransk and Moscow, our stadium is no less in comparison to the Luzhniki. It's the only one we can compare to, as ours is much larger than the majority of the others under construction. According to the design specifications, the Samara Stadium will utilize a larger volume of metal and concrete. On completion, we'll have approximately 1.5 times more metal and concrete structures than the other stadiums.
Despite recent delays and an increase in the stadium's construction budget, confidence in the project's completion and quality remain high. With a capacity of 45,000, the arena is set to host 6 matches, including Russia's last group stage game, and will undoubtedly be one of the 2018 FIFA World Cup's most memorable venues. Eleven of Russia's cities will host the 2018 tournament. Here to tell us about his hometown is a renowned musician.
Ах, Самара, городок, беспокойная я, беспокойная я, успокой ты меня.
I'm Sergei Votenko, an honoured artist from the Samara region, a world champion accordionist, and prize winner at many international competitions.
11 было. Самара, городок, беспокойная я.
I'm a composer, musician, singer and producer. I organised the Ivan Boyan Music Festival, which is held here in Samara and is one of the biggest in Europe. When you come to Samara, you should visit the wonderful Volga River and take advantage of the wonderful weather here by laying on one of our many beaches. You can also enjoy a walk on the embankment, which is the longest in Russia. Another thing to do when you come to Samara is explore our many different neighborhoods. Each one has a unique feel to it. In the old part of the city, you'll feel the spirit of the place emanating from the historic buildings, the fountains, and the streets themselves. It's something I highly recommend, as you'll see where our city was born and can see what's happening there today. Samara is a beautiful city. In the spring there are lilac blossoms and apple and cherry trees blossom, while in summer we have a lot of wildflowers. All of these and a variety of rare trees can be found in our many parks, the main one of which is the Botanical Gardens. It's very beautiful there and full of interesting flora and fauna from our region. After walking in the park, you should take a relaxing boat trip on the river and enjoy the scenery. Welcome to Samara.
2018 will mark the 21st edition of the FIFA World Cup. Here to share his memories of the tournament is a former Soviet national team defender.
Sergei Baltacha, Spain, 1982. This was what I had dreamed about since I was 6 or 7 years old. Ever since I was a child, playing at the World Cup had been my dream. The team we had at the 1982 tournament was one of the strongest Soviet Union teams we'd had in decades. It was based around a group of 7 or 8 players from Dynamo Kiev. They were some of the best players in the Soviet Union. But there was also Dasaev, Kidiatulin from Spartak, and a number of Georgians like Sasha Chivadze and Ramaz Shengelia. Therefore, there were high expectations of us. Our fans expected good results.
Bronze medalists in the 1980 Moscow Olympics, the Soviets were drawn in the same group as New Zealand, Scotland and 3 times champions Brazil, who they faced in their opening game.
We didn't fear anyone. We knew we had good players, a strong game plan, and we were looking forward to the match. Unfortunately, the result didn't go our way. It was very disappointing. But I remember after the game we discussed the mistakes we'd made and how we would rectify them. By the time we faced New Zealand in our second game, we were better prepared. We knew how we wanted to play, and we knew we had to beat both New Zealand and Scotland to progress to the next round.
Despite this setback, the Soviets were imperious against the debutants New Zealand, with Baltacha scoring a milestone goal.
In that situation, I was just doing what every player in my position would have done. All I did was get myself into a position to score a goal. I ran into the penalty area as Blockin crossed the ball. I saw it flying towards me, and I just made sure I got my foot to it. At the time, I didn't know that it was the 1100th goal, that it was a Jubilee goal. To play at the FIFA World Cup and to score a goal, that's something that not everyone can say they've done. To score a goal that's a milestone and something that I will always be connected to is an honor.
Runners-up to Brazil in their group, the Soviets qualified for the second round, where they were drawn in a group with Belgium and Poland. Following a narrow 1-0 win over the Belgians, the USSR faced Poland, knowing only a victory would secure their passage through to the semi-finals.
Even though we had outplayed the Belgians in our first game, we only beat them 1-0. Poland beat them 3-0. So they had the advantage going into the match. They knew a draw would be good enough for them to progress. Their game plan was simple. They put all 11 players behind the ball and let us come at them. They played defensively the entire match, and they only looked to counter-attack. It was a tough game for us, not just in terms of sport, but also politically. It was also hard for us to play other socialist countries like Poland, Hungary and Czechoslovakia, because they had the same competitive spirit we had. The matches were always tight. The game ended in a draw. For us, it was a missed opportunity. I regret that we didn't win that game. We were a good team, and I think there was an opportunity for us to progress further and even make the final. The World Cup final in Spain was probably one of the best in the tournament's history. It's a game that many people remember. And when I recall it, I remember watching at my house after we returned home. I had tears in my eyes. I thought we would be playing there. If we'd had a bit of luck, we would have been there taking part in the final. Watching it on my TV made me feel like I should have been on the pitch, that we would have been worthy finalists.
Что мы достойны были этого.